Captain Max Riggins stared at the holographic display, his eye twitching in that special way it did when the universe was testing his patience, which, coincidentally, was most of the time. "So let me get this straight," he said, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "The Zarlaxians just blew up one of our colonies and called it a navigational error?" Lieutenant Dex Morgan nodded, his fingers dancing across the console with the enthusiasm of someone who hasn't yet realized the galaxy is mostly filled with idiots. "Yes, sir," they said, and I quote, "Your insignificant settlement was unfortunately located where our weapons test was scheduled to occur." They scheduled a weapons test in neutral space? On top of a human colony? "They've also filed a complaint about our colony interfering with their scientific progress," Dex added. Max looked around the bridge of the TDF Audacity, making eye contact with each crew member. Humans weren't the biggest, strongest, or most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. But they had something the others lacked, a profound capacity for spite. "Open a channel to Zarlaxian High Command," Max ordered, straightening his uniform. The holographic display flickered, revealing High Commander Zex Tillian, all 6 of his arms folded in various expressions of disdain. His purple skin glistened under the lights of what was clearly an overly decorated command center. "Captain Riggins," the alien said, each syllable dripping with condescension. "How unexpected. I assume you're calling to apologize for your colony's unfortunate placement." The bridge crew tensed. In the 3 decades since humanity had joined the galactic community, they'd been underestimated, mocked, and dismissed. Other species saw humans as the baby race, entertaining but ultimately inconsequential. What they failed to realize was that humans had spent their entire evolutionary history being the scrappy underdog. It was kind of their thing. "Actually," Max replied, his voice dangerously calm, "I'm calling to inform you that you've crossed a line." Zex Tillian blinked all 4 of his eyes in perfect synchronization. "A line? I'm unfamiliar with this concept." "It's simple. There are things you don't do. Attacking human civilians is one of them." The Zarlaxian commander laughed, a sound like marbles in a garbage disposal. "And what exactly do you intend to do about it, human? Your species is barely out of its evolutionary diapers." Max smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "That's the thing about humans, Commander. You never know what we're going to do. That's what keeps us interesting." He cut the transmission before Zex Tillian could respond. The bridge was silent. "Sir?" Dex asked. "What are we going to do?" Max sighed. "We're going to call Fleet Admiral Parker." The crew winced collectively. Fleet Admiral Joey Parker was a tactical genius, but he had the diplomatic grace of a chainsaw in a crystal shop. "God help the Zarlaxians," someone muttered. "They have no idea what they've started." Fleet Admiral Joey Parker's office looked like a museum of bad decisions made by various alien species. Trophies from conflicts that, officially, never happened adorned the walls. The centerpiece was a Navorian battle flag that everyone knew had been liberated during a diplomatic mission. "So they blew up Outpost Horizon," Joey said, feet propped on his desk, uniform rumpled in a way that somehow looked intentional. "And they think we're just going to take it lying down?" "That appears to be their assumption, sir," Max replied. Joey snorted. "Well, I've always said the Zarlaxians are a special kind of stupid. You know what they call humans behind our backs? Dirt monkeys. Can you believe that? At least call us something cool like Deathworlders or the Insane Ones." Lieutenant Dex Morgan stood awkwardly by the door, clutching his datapad. "Sir, I've assembled the preliminary response options for the Horizon incident." "Hit me, Lieutenant." Option 1, formal diplomatic protest through the Galactic Council. Joey made a farting noise with his mouth. Option 2, economic sanctions. Option 3, military response. Joey's eyes lit up. "Now we're talking." Who've we got? The door slid open, revealing a gelatinous purple mass that somehow managed to convey an air of dignity despite being essentially sentient jello. Admiral Parker, the mass burbled. Your message suggested urgency and potential violence. I came as quickly as my locomotion would allow. Gorb. Joey exclaimed. Perfect timing. We're putting together a party, and you're invited. The Velusian diplomat wobbled slightly. I hope this is not another situation that will require me to explain to my government why I was found in a compromising position with illegal substances. Better, Joey grinned. We're going to teach the Zarlaxians a lesson. A clicking sound announced the arrival of another alien, this one resembling a 5-foot-tall praying mantis wearing what appeared to be a human cowboy hat. Howdy, partners, it chittered. Did someone mention kicking the excrement out of the Zarlaxians? Because that would be the bee's knees. Joey gestured proudly. Lieutenant, meet our intelligence officer, Cly XA. She's been studying human idioms for 10 years. And still getting them wrong, Max muttered. I'm as fit as a violin, Cly Esha declared. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Zarlaxian High Council was in session. 12 six-armed aliens sat around a floating table, their expressions ranging from smug to smugger. The humans have officially protested our actions at Horizon, reported Sub-Commander Vextilium. They're demanding reparations and a formal apology. High Commander Zex Tillian waved a dismissive hand. Ignored, of course. They're also mobilizing their fleet. This caused a ripple of amusement around the table. Their fleet. Zex Tillian chuckled. What are they going to do? Throw rocks at us? Their most advanced ships are barely more than pressurized tin cans with engines. What the Zarlaxians didn't know, what almost no one in the galaxy knew, was that humans had a particular talent for borrowing technology. Every time a new alien species made contact, humans would smile, nod politely at demonstrations of their tech, and then go home to figure out how to replicate it, improve it, and most importantly, combine it with other stolen tech in ways the original creators never imagined. Back on Earth, in a facility buried beneath what was ostensibly a mini golf course, Dr. Ellie Brandt was putting the finishing touches on humanity's latest abomination against conventional physics. It's alive. It's alive. She cackled as the device hummed to life, then caught herself. Sorry, always wanted to say that. Project Pandora's box is officially online. Joey's voice crackled over the comm. English doc. Is it ready or not? To quote the ancient texts, Ellie replied, oh, it's ready. The Zarlaxians are about to find out that in space everyone can hear you scream if you scream loud enough. Captain Max Riggins stood on the bridge of the TDF Audacity, watching as the fleet assembled. It wasn't large by galactic standards, just 12 ships. But size wasn't everything, a fact that humanity had been desperately trying to convince the galaxy of for decades. All ships report ready, sir, Dex announced. Operation Hold My Beer is a go. I thought we renamed it Hold My Coffee? Max frowned. Admiral Parker said beer was more traditional, but the Galactic Council PR team insisted on coffee for the official records. Max shook his head. Of course they did. The human fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving behind a faint scent of burnt cinnamon, a peculiar side effect of Dr. Ellie Brandt's modifications to the standard drive. In her lab, Ellie was bouncing with excitement, surrounded by holographic displays and at least 7 empty coffee cups. This is going to be epic. She squealed into the comm. The Zarlaxians think they know what human ships can do, but wait until they see what happens when you combine Navorian phase technology with Dralid power cores and just a smidge of that weird goo we found on Proxima b. Dr. Brandt, Max replied calmly. Please tell me you haven't installed untested technology on our entire battle fleet. Untested. Please. I tested it on my pet hamster last week. Little Schrödinger is fine, mostly. That's not reassuring. Look, it either works perfectly or creates a tear in space-time that devours the entire sector. Either way, the Zarlaxians won't be a problem anymore. Max made a mental note to have Dr. Brandt's caffeine intake monitored more closely. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace directly in front of the Zarlaxian home fleet, all 170 ships of it. The Zarlaxian vessels were massive, elegant, and armed to the teeth. By comparison, the human ships looked like they'd been cobbled together in someone's garage, which wasn't entirely inaccurate. On the Zarlaxian flagship, High Commander Zex Tillian nearly choked on his nutrient paste. "They brought 12 ships?" he sputtered. "Against our entire home fleet? This isn't even an insult, it's a suicide note." His second-in-command, a particularly dour Zarlaxian named Nex Tillian, looked concerned. "Sir, intelligence reports the humans have been unusually secretive about their military developments in recent years." "What developments?" "They're barely out of their Stone Age." As if in response, the human ships suddenly changed. Their hulls rippled like water, and then to the horror of every Zarlaxian watching, they split. Each ship divided into 3 separate vessels, expanding the human fleet to 36. "What in the name of the cosmic egg?" Zex Tillian gasped. "Sir," Nex Tillian reported, panic evident in his voice. "The humans are broadcasting something on all frequencies." "Put it through." The view screen flickered to life, showing Captain Max Riggins sipping calmly from a coffee mug emblazoned with the words "Universe's okayest captain." "Hello again, Commander," Max said pleasantly. "Remember when you destroyed our colony and I said you'd crossed a line? Well, I just wanted to check in and see if you'd reconsidered your position on apologies and reparations." Zex Tillian drew himself up to his full height. "This pathetic display changes nothing. Your fleet is still outnumbered and outgunned." Max nodded thoughtfully. "You're not wrong. But here's the thing about humans that the galaxy keeps forgetting: we don't fight fair. We never have." He took another sip of coffee. "Lieutenant Morgan, if you would be so kind as to demonstrate." "With pleasure, sir," came Dex's voice from off-screen. "Initiating operation, really bad day." The human ships suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds, their movements defying every known law of physics. They weaved between the much larger Zarlaxian vessels with a grace that shouldn't have been possible for ships of their size. And then they opened fire not with conventional weapons, but with something that made the Zarlaxian sensors scream in electronic agony. "Sir, they're using... I don't even know what they're using." A Zarlaxian officer cried out. "It's like they've weaponized 7 different technologies at once." "That's exactly what we did," Max confirmed, still sipping his coffee. "You know how everyone says humans are good at stealing ideas? Well, we prefer the term aggressive cultural exchange. And boy, have we been exchanging aggressively." The battle was brief, brutal, and embarrassingly one-sided. When it was over, half the Zarlaxian fleet was disabled, their systems completely fried. "Now," Max said, setting down his coffee mug, "about that apology." The Zarlaxian Galactic Council was in chaos. The officials ran in every direction, their usually composed demeanor replaced by panic as reports flooded in from across their territory. "The humans have hacked our entertainment networks." One official shrieked. "They're broadcasting something called dad jokes and cat videos on every channel. The navigation systems in the Outer Rim are all playing something called Never Gonna Give You Up on repeat." Another wailed. "Mom." High Commander Zex Tillian slammed all 6 of his hands onto the council table. "How are they doing this? Our systems are supposed to be impenetrable." "Sir," his aide whispered, "we've captured surveillance footage of a human operative who infiltrated our main communications hub." The footage showed a human female in what appeared to be pajamas. She was casually strolling through one of the most secure facilities in Zarlaxian space, eating something from a bag labeled Doritos while systematically plugging small devices into various terminals. "Who is that?" Zextillion demanded. "Commander Taz Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force," the aide replied, his voice trembling. "Their top infiltration specialist." On the footage, Rodriguez looked directly at the camera, winked and gave a thumbs up before disappearing into a ventilation shaft. Across the sector, on the TDF Audacity, Commander Taz Rodriguez was high-fiving Lieutenant Dex Morgan. "You should have seen their faces," she cackled. "I walked in wearing unicorn pajamas and a tourist hat, and they thought I was part of some diplomatic cultural exchange program." Dex grinned. "And the biological warfare?" "Deployed their own air purification systems against them. Every Zarlaxian in that facility now smells like a combination of old cheese and lavender. According to their biology, it's basically like being crop-dusted by a skunk." Captain Max entered the briefing room, followed by Gorb, whose gelatinous body was now sporting what appeared to be a tiny human military hat. "The Galactic community is losing their collective minds," Max announced. "The Drowlids are demanding to know how we combine their power core technology with Navorian phase shifting. The Navorians are demanding to know how we got their technology in the first place. And everyone else is trying to figure out if they should be terrified or impressed." "The answer is both," Gorb burbled. "As humans say, you have really stirred the pot until it boiled over into a sticky situation." "Close enough," Max sighed. Captain Dex interrupted, checking his console. "We're receiving a priority message from Admiral Parker. They've captured the Zarlaxian flagship. And its High Commander." Max raised an eyebrow. "Now that's interesting. Set a course." Meanwhile, the Zarlaxian flagship hung dead in space, surrounded by human vessels. Inside, Fleet Admiral Joey Parker was making himself comfortable in the High Commander's chair, but feet propped up on a console while he ate something that was definitely against regulations to bring onto an alien vessel. "You know what these guys' problem is?" Joey asked, gesturing with a half-eaten sandwich. "They got complacent. Got used to being the big shots in this part of the galaxy. Then we showed up messy, loud, constantly asking questions and touching things we shouldn't." Commander Taz nodded, perched on a console like a cat. "Classic mistake. Everyone thinks humans are just dumb luck and bravado." "Which we are," Joey agreed. "But we're also really good at taking a punch and then hitting back with a chair." The doors slid open, and a squad of human soldiers entered, escorting a thoroughly defeated-looking High Commander Zextillion. "Ah, the man of the hour," Joey exclaimed, not bothering to stand. "Have a seat." "Well, not this seat. I'm kind of enjoying it." Zextillion's eye stalks drooped with what might have been shame or possibly just motion sickness from the human ship's unorthodox flight patterns. "You," he began, then seemed to struggle for words. "You're insane. All of you. The way you fight it defies all military doctrine." "That's kind of our whole thing," Taz said cheerfully. "If we followed the rules, we'd still be hitting each other with pointy sticks back on Earth." "But the colony," Zextillion protested weakly. "It was just one colony. A minor settlement in disputed territory." Joey's expression darkened. "See, that's where you really screwed up. You thought because we're new to the galactic stage we wouldn't care about a minor settlement. But here's the thing about humans, we take it personally. All of it. Every single time." "The attack wasn't a mistake, was it?" Captain Max asked, entering the room with Dex and Gorb close behind. Zextillion's silence was answer enough. "You wanted to test our response," Max continued. "See how much we'd take before pushing back." "We needed to know," Zextillion finally admitted. "Your species is unpredictable, dangerous. You advance too quickly, adapt too readily." "And now," Dex asked, The High Commander looked up, all four eyes blinking in sequence. Now, I believe we may have made a tactical error. Ambassador Victoria Wu entered the negotiation chamber like she owned it, which, given the circumstances, wasn't far from the truth. The Zarlaxian flagship now served as neutral ground for peace talks, though neutral was a generous term considering most of its systems were under human control. High Commander, Victoria greeted Zex Tillian with a smile that never reached her eyes. So good of you to join us. I trust your accommodations have been comfortable? Zex Tillian's eye stalks twitched irritably. I was kept in a room with constant audio playback of something called Baby Shark for 12 hours. Oh dear, Victoria replied, not sounding sorry at all. Communication error. We thought that was your species' preferred meditation music. Captain Max, standing at Victoria's side, managed to keep a straight face. Fleet Admiral Joey leaned against the wall, making no such effort to hide his amusement. Let's begin, shall we? Victoria placed a datapad on the table. The terms are simple. Full reparations for Outpost Horizon, a public apology, and a demilitarized zone established along the borders of human space to be monitored by joint forces. Or absurd. Zex Tillian sputtered. These terms would cripple our military position in the sector. Victoria's smile widened. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I give the impression these terms were negotiable? How careless of me. Klai, who had been silently observing, clicked her mandibles. As humans say, you have made your mattress, now lie in it. Bed, Joey corrected. Made your bed. That makes considerably less sense, Klai replied. The negotiations continued for hours, with the Zarlaxians attempting to salvage some dignity from the situation and the humans systematically dismantling every counter-proposal. You know, Victoria said during a break, we knew the attack wasn't a mistake from the beginning. Zex Tillian froze. Impossible. Our communications were secure. Were they? Because Commander Rodriguez has been monitoring your military channels for months. We knew you were planning something. We just didn't know what or where. Then why didn't you prevent it? Victoria's expression hardened. Because sometimes, Commander, you need to let your enemy make the first move, especially when that move will turn the entire galactic community against them. Outside the negotiation chamber, representatives from 12 different species had gathered, all watching the proceedings with keen interest. The galaxy was reassessing its understanding of humanity in real time. They're not just lucky, a Dralid ambassador murmured to his aide. They're calculating. They let the Zarlaxians attack so they would have justification for this show of force. Remind me never to play poker with a human, his aide replied. As the negotiations wound down, a Zarlaxian lieutenant burst into the chamber, panting heavily. Hi, Commander. Urgent news from Homeworld. The humans, they've... Spit it out. Zex Tillian demanded. They've positioned a fleet near our homeworld. They're threatening to bombard it with something called glitter bombs if we don't agree to the terms. The room fell silent. Victoria raised an eyebrow at Max, who shrugged innocently. That was supposed to be our backup plan, Joey muttered. Zex Tillian drew himself up, eyes narrowing. So this is your true face, humans. You speak of peace while threatening our civilians? Oh please, Victoria scoffed. Glitter bombs aren't weapons. They're annoying party favors. They just spray tiny reflective particles everywhere. Nearly impossible to clean up, but hardly lethal. Then why threaten us with them? Because Max explained patiently, we wanted to demonstrate that we could get past your homeworld defenses anytime we wanted. We just chose to do it with something ridiculous instead of something deadly. That's called restraint. Also, Joey added, the image of your entire ruling council covered in rainbow glitter would make for excellent propaganda. Zextillion slumped in defeat. You leave us no choice but to accept your terms. But know this humiliation will not be forgotten. Victoria leaned forward, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. It's not meant to be forgotten, Commander. It's meant to be remembered. Every time your people look to the stars and see a human ship, I want them to remember exactly what happens when someone crosses the line. As if on cue, the ship's alarms began blaring. What now? Joey groaned. Dex burst into the room. Sir, the Zarlaxians have launched a last-ditch attack force. They're heading for Earth. On the bridge of the TDF Audacity, Captain Max Riggins watched the tactical display with something approaching boredom as the Zarlaxian Doomsday Fleet approached Earth. Should we intercept, sir? Dex asked, fingers hovering over the weapon's controls. No need, Max replied, sipping from a fresh cup of coffee. Let them get close enough to see it. The Zarlaxian fleet, consisting of their 20 most powerful warships, decelerated as they entered the Sol system, the weapons hot and targeting systems locked on humanity's homeworld. Where is their defense fleet? The Zarlaxian commander demanded. Scans show only commercial traffic and orbital installations. Perhaps they didn't expect an attack on their homeworld, his second suggested. Their military is scattered across the sector dealing with our other forces. The commander smiled, a grimace of vindication. Prepare to open fire. Let's see how the humans like having their home targeted. As the Zarlaxian fleet approached Earth orbit, something strange happened. The planet flickered. What was that? The commander barked. Some kind of atmospheric disturbance? No, sir, his science officer replied, voice trembling. I'm detecting a massive energy field surrounding the entire planet. It's a planetary shield, and it's unlike anything in our records. Impossible. No species has successfully deployed planetary shielding on this scale. The commander's protests were interrupted by an incoming transmission. The view screen flickered to life, showing a human female with wild red hair and what appeared to be safety goggles pushed up on her forehead. Hello. Dr. Ellie Brandt here, Chief Science Officer of Earth's utterly ridiculous defense systems. I see you've noticed our little protective bubble. Neat, isn't it? What is this? The commander demanded. Oh, this old thing. Ellie gestured vaguely at something off-screen. Just a planetary defense system we've had for, about 8 years now. We call it the Don't Even Think About It shield. Catchy, right? I wanted to call it the Seriously Dude, Not Cool system, but I was outvoted. The commander's eye stalks twitched in confusion. 8 years? That's impossible. Your species has only been part of the galactic community for 3 decades. Yeah, about that. Ellie adjusted her goggles. We may have reverse-engineered some tech from a crashed ship we found in the 1950s. You know, Area 50 whatever. The conspiracy theorists were partially right, just wrong about which aliens. Honestly, we should thank you, Zarlaxians. Your scout ship's navigation was terrible even back then. Before the commander could respond, the tactical officer shouted in alarm. Sir. Multiple objects emerging from Earth's moon. Hundreds of small, sleek vessels poured out from hidden bases on the lunar surface, surrounding the Zarlaxian fleet in seconds. Oh, Ellie continued cheerfully, and those are our Mosquito-class interceptors. Individually, not very impressive. But get a few hundred of them buzzing around and, well, you're about to have a really bad day. The Zarlaxian fleet never stood a chance. The human interceptors moved with impossible agility, their weapons bypassing shields that should have been impenetrable. In less than 10 minutes, the mighty Zarlaxian force was disabled, drifting helplessly in Earth orbit. Back on the captured Zarlaxian flagship, Captain Max finished explaining the situation to High Commander Zextillion. You see, Max said, humanity has been paranoid about alien invasions for centuries. long before we even knew aliens existed. We've made thousands of movies about it. So when we finally did make contact with galactic civilization, the first thing we did was build the biggest, most ridiculous planetary defense system we could imagine. But you appeared so harmless, Zextillion whispered. That's our secret, Commander. We're really good at appearing harmless. 3 days later, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from all major species gathered to witness the signing of what would become known as the Seriously, Don't Mess with the Humans Treaty. Ambassador Victoria Wu stood at the podium, flanked by Captain Max, Fleet Admiral Joey, and the rest of the team that had brought the Zarlaxians to heel. The treaty is simple, Victoria announced. Respect our borders, respect our people, and we'll all get along just fine. Cross the line and, well, she gestured to the Zarlaxian delegation, several of whom still sparkled faintly from the glitter bomb incident. As the proceedings concluded, Max found himself face to face with Zextillion one last time. I still don't understand, the defeated commander admitted. You could have destroyed us completely. Why show mercy? Max smiled. Because that's the other thing about humans, Commander. We're just as capable of forgiveness as we are of vengeance. Besides, enemies who've learned their lesson often make the best allies. And have we learned our lesson? I don't know, Max replied, his voice light but his eyes serious. Have you? Zextillion considered this, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence. I believe we have. Good, Max nodded. Because if there's one thing the galaxy needs to understand about humanity, it's this: we're not looking for trouble. But if trouble finds us? Well, let's just say there's a reason our ancient warriors used to paint their faces and scream as they charged into battle. Which is, we've always known that sometimes the most effective weapon isn't your technology or your strength. Sometimes it's just convincing everyone else that you're absolutely, positively crazy enough to do whatever it takes. He extended his hand in the human gesture of peace. Welcome to the galaxy, Commander. The real one, where humans aren't just another footnote in the cosmic story. Where the plot twist no one saw coming. And across the stars, a new understanding spread. Humanity wasn't to be underestimated. They weren't to be crossed. And above all, they were not to be cornered. Because when pushed to the limit, the roar of humanity's wrath would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. And they would do it with a smile and a cup of coffee in hand,